Hello students, welcome to my channel Somalins by World. So today I am going to discuss about the classification of synapse. In the previous video I have already discussed about the synapse, its structure and function. So come and today we will discuss about the classification of synapse. As we know, synapse is the junction between the presynaptic node of one neuron and the postsynaptic node of the second neuron, and the junction between them and the whole structure forms synapse. And this synapse helps in the transmission of impulse from one neuron to the next neuron. So, its classification depends upon three factors, that is anatomical classification, functional classification and Western function. So, first come to the anatomical classification. In anatomical classification, the synapse, it is of 6 types. The first one is the archdendritic synapse. Here, the action of one synapse, it sends the impulse to the dendrite of the, so the synapse is the archdendritic synapse. So next is the archdonic synapse. This archdonic synapse, it forms between two neurons, the axon of first neuron and the axon of the second neuron. So this type of synapse is the archdonic synapse. Then the dendrodendritic synapse. In dendrodendritic synapse, the dendrite of one axon, it sends impulse to the dendrite of the next neuron. So, in this way, from dendrite of one neuron, the impulse it transmits to the dendrite of the second neuron. Then, fourth one is the dendroarchdonic synapse. In this type of synapse, the dendrite of first neuron, it sends impulse to the axon of the second neuron, and this type of synapse is very rare. Then is the axosomatic synapse. As you know, soma means body, and this is the cell body of the neuron. So when one neuron, the action of one neuron, it connect with the cell body of the soma of the second neuron, then it forms the axosomatic synapse. And the last one is the neuromuscular junction. When one neuron joins or ends at the muscle fiber, then it forms the neuromuscular junction. And here the neurotransmitter, it comes in the form of the impulse and excites the muscle cell. Out of these 6 types of synapse, the archdendritic synapse and the neuromuscular junctions are mostly present in our body. Then second one is the functional classification. According to functional classification, the synapses are of 2 types, and this division, it depends or it occurs on the basis of the mode of impulse transmission, means how the impulse is transmitted, whether it is in electrical form or chemical form. So on the basis of mode of impulse transmission, the synapses are of 2 types. They are electrical synapse and chemical synapse. So, in electrical synapse, what happens? This is the presynaptic neuron, this is the postsynaptic neuron. In case of electrical synapse, there is a direct contact between the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. And this contact is the gap junction, which forms a bridge between the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. So, as there is a direct contact present between these two neurons, so the transmission of impulse is very fast and there is no delay occurs in the transmission of its from one neuron to the next neuron. So, if we compare the chemical synapse and electrical synapse, then in case of electrical synapse, the transmission of impulse is so fast. So, then is the chemical synapse. In the chemical synapse, there is a chemical present in the form of neurotransmitter in the presynaptic neuron, and these neurotransmitters are released to the gap present between this presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron, and this gap is known as the synaptic cleft. When the neurotransmitter is released to the synaptic cleft, then they bind to the receptors present on the surface of the postsynaptic neuron. So, in this way, the neurotransmitters, they transmit from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron in the form of a chemical, and when it reaches the postsynaptic neuron, again it changes into the electrical impulse. So, according to based on the functional classification, there are two types of synapses. And here in the chemical synapse, the time required for a transmission is a delay as compared to the electrical synapse, as there is no direct contact present between the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. And in this chemical synapse, the presynaptic neuron, it may aims at the surface of or the dendrite of another neuron, or it may be a muscle also. So, in case of chemical synapse, it forms two structures, either neuroneural junction or neuromuscular junction. Then come to the third type of classification, which is based on the function. So, based on the function, whether the synapse, it is excitatory synapse or inhibitory synapse. So, in an excitatory synapse, it permits the transmission of impulse to the next neuron. It means it secretes a type of neurotransmitter, that is, example is acetylcholine, which it triggers the excitation in the postsynaptic neuron. So, in excitatory synapse, the neurotransmitter which will be released, it will be excitatory type, means it triggers the excitation in the postsynaptic neuron. Then is the inhibitory synapse. In an inhibitory synapse, it inhibits the transmission of impulse from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron, and it releases the neurotransmitter which shows the inhibitory function. And the examples are GABA, which is gamma aminobutyric acid, dopamine and glycine. These type of neurotransmitters, they inhibit the transmission of impulse from one neuron or from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron, or it inhibits the excitation of the postsynaptic neuron. And there are also some properties of this synapse, that is convergence and divergence. In the convergence, when more than one presynaptic neuron, they terminates at single postsynaptic neuron, then it is known as convergence. And when in the divergence types of synapse, here one presynaptic neuron, it terminates at more than one postsynaptic neuron. So, these were all about the classification of synapse. So, thanks for watching. If you like my video, then like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.